Hi, welcome to another Sunday ceremony with Chris Lewis, Dwight Kuhn,
Dwight. Oh
and
yeah,
Chris
Dwight.
Tronick, myself. Uh, like every Sunday, or last time not, because our recording didn't work out very well. This time we recorded with new software, so we make sure everything is right, that we don't miss out another Sunday at the Sunday ceremony. So, Dwight,
Nice.
what you are talking about today?
Well, you know, it's funny when we're gonna have this conversation now. Ooh, excuse me. When we're having this conversation now, we're really gonna just allude to the great conversation we had last week that unfortunately we lost all the audio on. But you know, these Sunday sermons are more or less just a conversational platform for us, like for the newer, uninitiated viewer. If you just happen to find us, hey, thank you so much for chilling out with us and, grab a beverage, however you like to unwind. And we're just going to talk about some micro drift, strictly micro drift. It is its own animal, and we're here to help. I have literally been doing this now for 4 years. I couldn't believe it. It's 2024. I started in 2019. So yeah, all of us have really come a long way, and we're not so far along the road that it's very important for us to have these because this hobby is very special, to on a lot of respects. It is such an all-encompassing hobby. It's like the HO train set, because you have to kind of craft, and I'm going to share my screen here. You're going to have to craft your own table. You have to craft your own environment, so to say, to do this appropriately, and at any scale. So, with that being said, just welcome again, and we're going to just kind of pick up the conversation, just like us three friends here. And down the road, we're going to have guest speakers. Anything, man. It's really wide open. We want you to feel like you're engaged and a part of this, and we're always here to help.
Yes, that's true.
What we're going to talk about today, basically, we're going to chat about tires. Yeah, the difference between a rounded profile tire and a flat profile tire, basically. So we're going to bring that into the conversation today. Dwight's going to chat us through the way he sets up his steering to stop your gyro, or basically to limit your steering and let your gyro do the work for you. We're going to talk about styles of drift as well, whether you're in the battle attack or you want to be door knocking. Yeah, so these are just some of the things we're going to chat about. We'll have a quick chat about budget 124th, 128th drift scales up against expensive and what you're going to pay, including the body and the electrics. And then
a whole 8 hours.
we've got lots to chat about. At the end of the day, anything we chat about, once you've watched it, anything you want to query or ask us more about, ask us, because we want to really plan to answer questions in the midweek to give you a little update to show that we're watching what you're asking.
Yeah.
We're going to try and chat you through it. If not, give you a video footage through it just to show you what's going on again if you get stuck with anything. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff over this little thing. The difference between 128, 124. We're going to bring guest artists in, or guest speakers in, should I say, guest members. And at the end of this one, hopefully, Dwight's going to do us a little body dipping trick to show us all how to save airbrush time and just dip it.
I'm just dying for this sermon every week. To be a part of it is really special. But I got to tell you, I'm just like bursting with, this is a really great outlet for myself. I think a lot of people are very interested in it because there's really not a whole lot of forums that you could just kind of be conversational about it. I think as this platform grows slightly, and we're going to keep the production values low, but we want to kind of engage it. This started Very humble beginnings. Everyone was in lockdowns and stuff. Not to bring up all that bad memories and so forth, but hey, you got to keep it real. I mean, everything was closed. Everything just evaporated, and I just found myself at a loss of what I was going to do. And Miko Spalding in that just seminal video that he dropped with his DRZ V2, just tearing up that ABS track of his. I had never seen anything quite like that before, and I mean, I was hooked. I thought it was magic, quite literally. I had never seen any ground vehicle act in such a fashion like that. Outside of 10 scale drift, and these were just microscopic. So anyway, I have been friends with Mikos ever since that day, and I have only gained more and more friends as I've progressed throughout this hobby. Any end roads or any kind of, roads that kind of maybe, got a little disheveled, maybe a couple rocks on the road and stuff, hey, I'm actively retracing those steps, making sure that all the footing is good. I think we're all growing here. Some of my friends are actually feeding their family with this kind of stuff. And that is different to me because I'm a strict hobbyist. I have a daily that I do every day. I work on surgical equipment. And, my passion is this. But,
we all have our passion for this.
No, certainly. It's just that I have friends that have literally quit their jobs and are doing micro drift for a living, Brad, RC Supremacy, perfect example. He's a personality. He is a personality, but at the end of the day, he's a father. He's a businessman. He feeds his family with this, and hey, congrats to Brad. I believe he's got a second child on the way. So, nothing but love and respect. And listen, if we would have known that people were actually listening to us talk back in the day, we may have, at least myself, I would have maybe tempered anything I may have said to come across. But outside of that, I don't think that anything has gone under the bridge that isn't too bad. So, with that being said, I think we're all starting on a really solid foot, man. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I would say, yes, that's absolutely right. Let's start with our first topic today and talk about tires. The first thing I want to talk about tires is that we are a little limited in tire sizes, especially if you take certain bodies or like certain chassis like the D32. There is only one set of wheels and two set of tires for it. One set of rims and two sets of tires for it. And now it was said that MA Racing will do more rims for it after the D24 is released. So maybe this is a little reminder to the MA Racing designers to make more rims for the D32. But I want to come up with a printed solution so we can decide which size the tires should have. I was thinking I'm just going
to hold up the tires you're talking about, Chris, while you're talking. Yeah, the tires and the rims, and how small they are in the body. They're just like you said. They need to be bigger.
Yeah, they absolutely need to be bigger.
They're very small.
The original rims is 14 or 15 millimeter, if I remember correctly. 14 millimeter, if I remember correctly. And for most of the 32 scale body, a rim with around 16 millimeter would be good, and total tire diameter about 20 millimeters would be good. So the fact that you can't buy tires like this, it is a fact, yeah. And 3D printed tires, resin printed tires don't work at all. They are much too fast. And FDM printed tires, like I know only one person who is able to make good 3D printed tire, and this is El Kilimanjaro. Yeah. his
That's the
3D,
same right here.
yeah, his 3D printed tires are slow as sport tires, but yeah, I don't know his secret, to be honest. So I'm thinking of making tires out of plastic on a lathe. Yeah. So we know materials for tires most of the time is POM. It's a plastic, yeah, called POM, and as we know, it is very good on ABS. But what else are tires made of? Which plastic? What is and maybe
This is the LF. The LF's
very nice,
S.
yeah.
And so the S signifies it's kind of impregnated with some sort of I'll just say silicone. It's an interesting tire. It was my favorite, the 5S, but as you could see, even on my vinyl track,
They wear very
it
quick.
started to have a reaction. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I actually got away from the 5S, and then I really started having a lot of success, believe it or not, with these generic tires that just came
Absolutely.
on these wheels, and I mean, these things slide their faces off.
I actually think these are POM tires, even if nobody is at no shop
Which
has
ones?
it.
Which ones are POM?
The Michelin and the Falcon tires.
Michelin and POM.
Yeah,
Michelin and POM.
Yeah, I think they are
Because
POM.
I think they are POM. They're just not.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, so one thing that came up in our talk last weekend that we lost, sadly, was POM would be referred to as the composition of whatever that material is. And then the CC, the term CC and POM kind of get thrown around a lot. POM is really just the material. CC refers to the phrase constant contact. And Chris will speak to this because he has some really interesting insights. But essentially, you have your options of whether you're going to run a consistent contact patch through the CC, which will give you a lot of predictability and so forth, or you
That's
can.
your green wheel. Yeah, that's the green wheel that you've got in your hand in it, like the CC.
Yeah. This will be the CC right here because it's the curvature. This curvature will always yield the same contact patch regardless of the angle and so forth that it finds itself at. So you could get your stance, you could get all of that, and it has very little effect. These tires have very little effect with like scrub radius and so forth. It's kind of like cheating to a degree. To a degree, it gets you on the table, gets you out there. But if you really want to start getting into it, you're going to be in the flat or even angled profile rear tires. And then Chris will speak to how you're adjusting your camber and so forth and your toe to kind of drive. And then that will lead us to our conversation about solos, tandems, comp cars, and so forth.
Yeah, first of all, I want to ask you, the watchers, what you think, which materials besides POM, would be great for tires. Yeah, so because I have a lathe and I would be able to make tires, and so real tires, not 3D printed. And I think about to make, like I said, 16 by 20 millimeter tires for the D32, and I really want to know your opinion about which material to use for tires for the D32.
Are you ready?
No, Chris wanted to say something, I think.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to say, the tire material as well, I think it depends on what you're actually running on. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, if you run any of them tires on a concrete base, they're going to chew up mighty fast. If you run them on a wooden base, I mean, look at them wheels. They just are so small.
Yeah, they're cartoony.
Is it PVLC, Chris? The black tubing that they use for the high pressure
PVC.
Underfloor heating.
PVC pipes.
Sorry?
PVC pipes.
Well, no, there's two, because we're on my floor layer, yeah. basically they don't put a PVC pipe under the flooring. It's a different thing.
It's
So that although the
PP.
pipe can get well, it can get really hot, yeah, but it won't expand like the cheaper plastic pipe with the hot water running through it will expand. Hence, it can start doing damage to what's around it. Whereas the expensive one, it will not expand in any way.
It's PP.
I've seen offcuts of it.
Polypropylene.
Polypropylene.
PP. Polypropylene.
Yeah, I've seen bits of it where they've been in. Basically, I laid my floor. They put the piping in, then I go and put the top on it. But I see the offshoots of what they've laid. It's always thin. It's only about. It doesn't look like it. It might be an inch thick on the outside, 25 mil outside, but internally, it's not more than 3/4 of an inch, 19 mil, say, internally. So you'd have to lay the middle out, and then what would you have left on the outside? Mind you, what's the D32 wheel? It might slide on D32 wheel.
It is.
Well,
there are 17 auto diameter. So there is
this
one
is a
with
20.
16 and one with 17 millimeters.
Clearly too big with the 20 because, this would not accommodate any outside. So, yeah, you're definitely in the 16 to 18 max. I think when you're talking tires for the D32, as Chris was describing, the outside total diameter is really the most critical. And then, you could just make whatever on the beginning. I will share an idea with you as far as tires. I actually got this idea from a guy named Carlos Auerbach. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. And I met him in the 10 scale drift world. But felt tires. Felt. Made out of felt. And I got to be honest, just visualizing what he's talking about, I was like, yo, felt. I mean, felt on any surface is very nice. I can't lie, so I'm definitely going to explore the felt option.
Okay. It'd be interesting. Interesting to look at. Right, anyway, once you've got what Chris was talking about anyway was basically, and Dwight is the tire contact on the car.
Yeah.
What is touching the road with all the time? Flat tires, once you turn the car, if the camber changes, the tires running on different parts of the rim. With a CC tire, the tires will run the same part. So,
exactly,
it will make a difference. It's like it's not a cheat code, but it's like a cheat code. If you imagine, it will make your drift easier. But then, although that car's set up and you think it's great on CC's wheels, you put flat wheels on it and realise you've got to go back to the drawing board to make sure that thing's set up better. It's just a little. I don't know about you two. I would say a CC tyre is easier to set the car up than with all flat tyres on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Basically, now we come to the point. In the front, CC tyre is a good choice. One moment. It's a good point. It's a good in the front. Because it doesn't matter anymore as much how much camber you have. You want a lot of camber to reduce gyro shaking, and you want to have a lot of as much as possible caster, also to reduce your gyro shaking or wobbling. So since my two colleagues talked a lot about round tires in the front, I want to talk about round tires in the rear and flat tires in the rear and the difference in contact patch and what they make. So first of all, we need to know grip is a pressure measurement. It is grams per square millimeter, or weight per square millimeter. What means a rounded tire in the rear will bring the whole weight of the car on a very small surface, maybe 4 square millimeters or so, what ended up in a lot of grip in the rear, but only on this small surface. If you take a wide tire, it has a really big surface, a really big contact patch with a very low weight per square millimeter. What means a flat wide tire will make your car on the track slower because it will have less acceleration traction. Yeah, it is different if you are in the drift and you hit throttle to come inside of the curve, more inside of the curve. This is a different story, but the speed overall will be lower with a flat wide tire than with a rounded tire, because the rounded tire has more grams per square millimeter on his surface, even if the contact patch is smaller.
If we explain that in sort of newbie terms, it's like saying, if you're on 2 planks of wood, you're not going to catch someone that's on 2 ice skates, because 2 ice skates have got a thinner contact point, hence they're going to pick up more speed.
Exactly.
Yeah, they have less drag on them. So basically, Chris is explaining it very, very professionally there. But I thought I'd best for the newbie and try and explain it to them that if you're on ice on your feet, you will be able to walk. If I put ice skates on you, which is like a CC tire, it's going to make you a lot faster, and you're going to have more control over where you are directing your vehicle, basically.
Yeah.
Right, now, getting off of that one, because I think we've gone over that pretty fully tonight, boys. Let's chat about the different...
1 second, please,
Chris.
Sorry. What you said now to me sounds a little bit like rounded tires as in the rear are superior over flat tires.
No, I didn't mean that.
It is.
I meant that they will create.
It will both work very well. It's just 2 different styles of driving, yeah, and one is known to be faster. So rounded tires in the rear are faster and have less grip in the corner, yeah. So in the end effect, it's the other way around, that the flat tires in the rear are superior over round tires in the rear, yeah. You only use round tires in the rear on very certain surfaces like carpet or so.
Yeah, I've never ever.
Let me give this a nibble. What this really boils down to for the observer, someone who's watching this, because everyone on this video chat for sure has a very entrenched philosophy, so to say. So I guess that's really what we're trying to say. All of us are in concurrence with the philosophy of what the constant contact or the CC tires are providing. I want to just make it a little bit easier for the newer drifter to kind of understand. The rounded tires, I specifically use these rounded tires when I'm setting up my brand new chassis for the very first time on the track, because I use a set of calipers, like a compass, if you will, to measure my contact patch to a known fixed position on the chassis. And then I will create those measurements on all these 4 corners to just make sure that the dynamic performance outside of the static performance. What do I mean by that? Okay, I have 2 chassis right here. They're both identical, right? But this one is set up via the box stock. This is the base build for the GLD. Everything is as the factory has described, right? And you will notice that it has very little toe out, if at any. I think it's running zeros all the way around. Okay, now I only put these tires on here just so the beautiful brass chassis wouldn't take a wonking, So when I set this car up, I'm going to use my rounded tires. I'll take a couple laps around it, and then I'll start to adjust it because right now all of my measurements are static. It's like, okay, the wheel's here, obviously, and there. But during operation, that would be dynamic, right? That's why we run cars on a dyno. You know, I mean, yeah, on paper it looks good, but you know, I want to see this thing at wide open throttle. There will be some unintended consequences. So what you see right here is a car that's slightly different. I mean, to myself, is vastly different. But what mainly you'll see is in the front end, I have a lot more toe in, or correction, I have a lot more camber in this regard. I'm still running a very straight, you know, toe arrangement. But here you could clearly see the caster. This is what Chris was talking about earlier, right? So again, keeping it on the topic of the CC, what you'll understand is very early on is that, yeah, you'll be sliding with the CC, but then when you finally approach the performance envelope of the CC, you'll soon realize that it's all compromised. It's like, yeah, you're going to have a very predictable sliding car, but you'll be constrained in its performance. You will never be able to approach the real envelope because the tires will never be able to be tuned. They will always provide you that same stable contact patch. Any professional racer will tell you that you're in a moment of incontrollability and controllability at the same time. That is the razor's edge, if you will, right? The CC, by philosophy, my philosophy, will get you on that razor's edge all the time. But if you want to exceed that to your own performance envelope, to your own philosophy, whatever, you will have to get away from the CC, and then you will have to find yourself in a more flat profile, because as Chris was describing, now you have full controllability of the traction available by bringing the tire up on its angle. That minimizes the contact patch. You could go a quarter or half turn, and then you could flatten the contact patch, giving you tremendous drive. If that's too much drive, then we can adjust the toe angle and so forth. All of these adjustments are so critical. But again, you know, not to get too deep in that pool, the CC will get you on the table, but it will really constrain your tuning as you progress. I hope that adds some salt to that.
I think it does. The other thing about it is, you can put your CCs on it and drive your track fantastic. Then I would implore anybody to then change them to flats all round, yeah, and then drive that track again. And I guarantee you will have to go back and readjust that car.
Yeah, no, you'll have to start from zero. You'll have to start from zero.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. And again, you know, these cars are so robust. When I was new, I was so afraid to break it. And yeah, you can break it, you could drop it, but just wrenching on it and so forth, you're going to be fine. I mean, for sure. And again, just being able to tune. I mean, look at this TG. I mean, this is a bone stock TG, and this thing is such a slayer. This thing is just nuts. You know?
Yeah, looks nice.
So adjustable. I just gave this car to my friend. Thanks to Wolfram, I'm looking for the receiver I just got for it. I don't know. It's around here somewhere. But yeah, I'm going to throw a receiver in this. I gave it to a buddy of mine. He was over here just having a blast. And I'm just like, you know what? Let's just do this. You know? It's all good.
Right.
But anyway, all right. So, hey, I think we talked the hell out of some tires. But It's all philosophy. And, hey, if anyone's got any input, you know, hey, it's all good. You know, add it to it, you know?
Comment.
By all means, put your comments up, people. Let us know what you think. If you think we're talking a load of
bullshit,
horsefly fodder, by all means, put it up. We'd love to hear it. We're not afraid. We're all grown men. Some of us are pensioners, some aren't. But yeah, put it up. On another note, let's have a chat about the styles of drifting.
Nice.
Yeah, because I mean, there's two styles. You got your time attack, and you've got your door-to-door knocking stuff. And basically, it's two different styles of drifting. One of them, a car's got to perform better than the other one, and the other one, the car's got to get as close as it can over a certain distance. I think Chris could explain it better, because He's
Yeah.
got his new 110th car, and I've seen some videos lately of him doing a bit of door knocking. So
I'm not
let's
really.
say you're.
I need more practice in
They,
this, for sure.
they look very good, Chris. They look very good.
But yeah, basically what you say is absolutely right. It's called tandem, like two persons on a bicycle, but it's two persons in two cars, or with two cars. And you have two different kinds. And the one kind that what Chris called time attack, I'm not very sure if it's called like that now, but this is like the leader has to come away from the following car, and the following car shouldn't let him go away. If he get
I believe
away,
they call it a battle.
it's
Is
a
it a
battle.
battle
Yeah,
now?
it's drift battle, a battle tandem battle.
Yeah, battle tandems, exactly.
Yeah. So if the leader goes away from the following car, he won. If the following car, the chaser, if the chaser keeps up with him all the time, the chaser has won. And then there is a second round where they change position. That means the leader becomes chaser and the chaser becomes leader. And we play the same thing again, and we look up again. And then the points we calculated from both rounds. And then we have the show tandem. The show tandem is you set your car up that it is the same speed and can handle the same angle as your partner, and you drive on a fixed route which you talk up to each other before you start, and then you keep staying on the route, and the point is to be as synchron as possible. It's like synchron swimming or so. Yeah, you always have to be in the same distance to the partner. You always have to be in the same angle, or as closer you are in the angle, as more points you get. And in the end, it's also the same. Always, also the leader and the chaser change during the first and the second lap, and again both laps together give the result of the race. Yes, so that's what I have to say about tandeming. Chris, I think
that explained it quite intricately. But yeah, that's the two styles of drifting. Some people like to drift. You go to other places, they want to create tandem, and to tandem a car with four people takes a hell of a lot of practice.
Yeah,
you're not going to go into a club.
Can I pop in here?
Yeah, certainly, sir.
So I'm just adding to this conversation. There's all of us here are, again, as I said, we have our entry points into it. So furthering this along, what does it look like? We're talking about it, but what does a comp car look like versus my daily, right? And so here, I'll show you. This car right here is a one of one. It is custom made by a gentleman named Grant Lashley. It's the original GLDA. It takes the GL's renowned butter smooth gearbox, and it mates it to the Drift Arts architecture and suspension. And so this is and always has been built as a straight up competition car. Okay, what is a comp car? The comp car is exactly what it sounds like. It's a car that's ready to show up and just dominate every single facet of that particular endeavor. Okay, it is overpowered. It has actually I underpowered it. Originally it came with a 7,500 kV. That's why those motors are out in this environment. You wouldn't need a 7,500 kV motor. And by the way, you're talking about a 60,000 RPM motor when you do the math versus a 30,000 RPM motor, right? So you have just an by order of magnitude, so much more horsepower on tap, more than you could ever use. But that's the point. As you find yourself in a tandem situation to where you need to, in this case, like a battle drift, cover that ground, so to say. You know that you can unlock the potential either through your transmitter and what have you to really unleash a beast on these people. So a comp car will be something that you're traveling with. You're showing up to areas you're not really too sure, but you want to have enough juice on tap to make sure that you're not the slowest person. And again, being the slowest isn't the worst, all right? It really just depends on the track that you're showing up because, mind you, you're going to show up to a track that has their own philosophies. You're going to have your own OGs there. They may not be so receptive to your particular style, but that's the beauty of it. You'll be able to kind of massage yourself into this flow if that's your thing. I myself, I like my solitude. I come here on my track and I just put in pack after pack after pack, and I love it. But when my friends come over and we tandem, I have to bring out a specific chassis. I'm not going to take my daily and then alter it, because you would have to alter the tuning to get it to play nice with other cars. And you won't know what you need to do until you actually get there. So that's where this discussion is really fruitful for us. Microdrift, sadly, has not really blown up so big in the 10 scale. It's like on a slow boil. But as it starts to grow, more of us will find ourselves door to door with micro drifters. Right now, it's kind of a solitary thing, but understanding that, you'll have to tune to play with others, kind of like in a band. You're tuning your instrument. You could shred all you want, but you get yourself in a band environment. I mean, who's ever been in a band where the drummer and the guitarist are like battling each other for like who's actually the best? You know what I mean? It can get a little onerous.
Dwight, you got a good
We need to
point
all,
there.
balance out.
Dwight,
Thank you.
You got a good point there. With the 1x10 and entering the 1x24 scale. So some weeks ago, the Onosiki Kodama launched and is available. And I would say this is the best entry chassis at the moment for a newbie who will enter the small scale, because it is very cheap. I think it's the cheapest chassis at the moment, which is available. It comes pre-assembled.
Budget friendly.
Extremely. It comes pre-assembled. It comes with servo. It comes with tires. And it comes with body. And until now, I saw very little reports of problems with this chassis. I haven't heard of it. I saw other 2 or 3 people, including myself, because mine came without the battery holder and the color of the springs chips off. But hey, it is the cheapest chassis on the market. No one can complain about these little things on the cheapest. On the other hand, they made it as a collector's. We'll find a way. They made it as a collector's piece with the numbered label on the side, where it is, on the other hand, very sadly, if it is not complete, like battery holder is missing and so. But still, I want to recommend this chassis to all the newbies because mine drives great out of the box. And I just had to put some rubber bands on the back to hold the battery. Yeah, Chris is showing it.
Yeah, what Chris is actually talking about, let me just put me soldier 9 down. You get this rubber band for whacking your battery in. Yeah. Unfortunately, Chris didn't get it. It does have a serial number on it. So, the serial number is a total. Well, basically, me and someone else in England ordered them the same day, and Chris ordered his in Vienna on the same day, and I got number 304, I think G, Garage RC, he got number 6, I believe. Number 6. Woo!
Dang.
So yeah, the actual number, I don't know what Chris's
I don't think they're
number was.
curated.
208.
No.
I got
So,
208.
there you go. But at the
I
end
got
of
one
the day,
coming. Hopefully it's 666
well,
or 20.
as Chris,
69,
as
huh?
Chris said, right, as Chris did say, the actual bulkhead and the machining on it and the cover, it's all engraved. Yeah, it's a different gearbox to the BMRX.
I mean, it's so money.
They've
I'm telling you,
reworked
it is literally, honestly, and this is just my opinion. I think Oniseki's, they weren't even thinking about the 24 scale drifter. I think that this is just a nod to the 10 scale guys saying, "Hey, you want a little toy? Here you go." You know, and it's like, and we're over here like, you know,
Yeah,
but they're just like, "Oh, that's cool. Whatever, dude. $200, nothing. I got a battery pack that costs that." You know, like,
Mm.
Well, well, look, Dwight, as we're talking about chassis and budgets, I've just showed the people out there that the Oniseki, $160 odd, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
And you get a
180.
Lexus with it.
It is now 180. I looked it up some days ago on HRC Arena. And for memory,
Yeah, I
it's
ordered mine
now
from HRC.
$180. Yeah.
Okay, for $180, you get in the car with the servo, Lexus body, aluminium arms that you can reduce the width of the rear, plus the drive so you can do it. Also,
Monoshock.
it's got the monoshock parts. As you can see, I've made my monoshock. I know Chris done his monoshock.
Yes.
Well, Chris has drove his. I've drove mine. Straight out the box, put the electronics on it. Well, I took the suspension off, put the monoshock on, then put the electronics on it, put it on the floor, and it drifted.
Yeah.
And when you look at the way the car's actually set up, this goes back to what Mr. Cole was saying.
And it actually, the plan behind it, from Onoseki to bring people of 1x10 in the 1/24th
Yeah.
scale,
But when
worked.
you look at it,
It
there's
absolutely worked
there's
because we
hardly
had,
any toe out.
yeah,
Hardly any toe out, Chris.
yeah.
In
We had
fact,
a lot
it looks
of
really
entry.
parallel.
Sorry. We had a lot of entries in the group the last 2 weeks of 1x10 of people from the 1x10 community. So
Yeah,
it's
Welcome.
really the thinking behind the Onoseki, I think, really worked out. Or even if they not thought like this, it worked like this. Now the community is growing, even with 1x10 drivers now. So
the thing that's going to be interesting, because I know you've done it, Dwight. I've done it. Chris has got into it. Well, he's got his bits now, but the difference between a 1x10, people say, "Oh, they're both the same to set up." They are not the same to set up. That is a total fallacy. And if someone says that to you, he is obviously a super don expert in 1/10 and mechanical engineering and everything. Because I can assure you now, I've raced 1/10 cars, petrol engines. I've got numerous 1/10 cars. This is a total different kettle of fish, people. It's the same as 1/10, but on a far smaller scale, using smaller measurements. So
it's so finite. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. 9.1 millimeter on one side and 9 point nothing on the other will definitely cause you trouble.
No, for sure. Remember yesterday, Chris? I was shooting. Me and Chris Lewis were shooting a video yesterday. Well, we weren't shooting a video. We were just video chatting, and I was doing some laps. And he's like, "Hey, you should put a little boom antenna on your car and use that to whap this little whappy target that I got here." So I'm like, "Yeah, let's do that." I'm not joking. I put a magnet on the back bumper of this car right here, I put a magnet on there. That weight of the magnet threw the chassis balance off just such a respect that I had to really compensate for it. And I was laughing to Chris about it. And I went and I weighed the magnet. The magnet weighed 2 grams. 2 grams. It threw the whole chassis off. Like, I could compensate for it, but I could not believe that 2 grams just placed somewhere. And then I talked with Chris Tronick about it today while in your absence, Chris. And he was like, and it made perfect sense. He says, once you put that 2 grams outside of the center point, let's say at the very angular end, in this case, it was the back rear, that 2 grams is amplified so much just due to the weight, And so, yeah, he says this without a doubt. You put 2 grams here, you never see it. You put it on these outbounds, and it just, everything makes a difference. Everything.
Well,
but you don't have to get neurotic. But it does matter.
I was saying, when I've bought 3 TGs, yeah. I've got a lot of them. I've still got one not built, the originals, and I noticed the difference straight away. I've done a little cheat code on the TG, and I spun the bottom carbon bracket round, and then I rear mounted the engine, and that car handles totally different to the mid-engine car and the low mid-engine car. Totally different. In the fact, like Dwight said, when you start losing the back end on the rear engine car, rear motor car, you have to throttle it to get it to come back. Whereas when it's mid-engine, you can just let off the throttle and it'll come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the rear motor, you got to give it some throttle. Once you start losing it, you got to throttle it. But
it's called the pendulum effect. It's called
correct.
I found that most of so I personally, as a philosophy, again, you'll hear always talk about philosophy. What philosophy means is just my approach. My personal approach is something that is not like the norm right now. You'll see is a lot of RR or rear-mounted motors, but I like a midship motor. I like a more centralized type of mass, and I could carry the inertia in a much more balanced fashion. But that's my style, If I had a rear weight bias car, which I do right here, this is my rear weight bias car. I haven't yet put the battery in the back, but I intend to. But this will then be a track car. Like it won't be my personal car. It doesn't really have the driving characteristics that I'm particularly looking for. Again, philosophies. I want people to have fun first. If you have a K989 or any other type of RC vehicle that you could plop on the ground and have a smile on your face, you speak in my language. You want to start getting into the deep end of the pool, no problem. Learn from my bad financial decisions. I will, get you to at least where you think you want to be. If your kid ever says, "Hey, I want to be a firefighter," you can just look at him and say, "Should you?" Like, oh, I don't know. Like, really think about it.
Yeah.
So, getting into the drift art is great, but I got a TG here at a fraction of the cost that, again, you throw a body on it and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. No. I mean, it's just... So, yeah, it's very approachable. It's very approachable.
That's right. Well, let's look at if you look at a cheap chassis, yeah.
Inexpensive,
yeah. Well, I say it's cheap because it's inexpensive.
Shit, well, man. You're getting $600 all up is pretty much, I don't know. If you can get a car all up with radio and everything, like, that's the thing. You got to get the surface and oh my God. It's like, is my wife listening to this? Oh, okay. But anyway, yeah, it can be daunting, but hey, the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The thing with the cars, people need to realize, when we're talking about budget and expensive, we're talking just about the chassis. There's no electronics on that car. So then, once you've paid your $200, or $180 for an inexpensive chassis, you then got to be prepared to strap another, at least, well, budget and economical stuff. You're looking at another $120. Yeah, and then we're presuming you've got a radio. You might not have a transmitter. Yeah, if you haven't got a transmitter, then you got to go and buy one of these. So if it's your first car, ready to run, you really are better off looking at AliExpress. I think it's shop 3193906. He does a ready to run TG bog standard version. It's all aluminium. Don't get me wrong, they're aluminium people. Just one's black and one's purple. And yeah, he sends it to your bill, so you're not going to have no discrepancies about you've got a part with no bits or you've got a bits missing. It'll come ready built with the receiver, completely ready to run. I can't quite remember the price. I'll look at it, but I'm pretty sure it's under $400.
Yeah, I think.
And that's you're getting the whole kit, the batteries, the charger for the battery. So you can buy that car, plug it in. If you get stuck, hit the page up. We'll all tell you how to set them up. We've all got them. We all love them.
For sure.
So yeah.
Hey, Chris, do you want to take a pause and check our video?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, bro.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get a cup of tea, Pete. We'll be back in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Everyone, grab your libation and whatever you celebrate, make it merry.
Well,
and we'll be back in 5.
Well,
Cue the music.